All right, let's find out what's going on with Tony Stewart. Let's head down to Mike Massaro.
Well, guys, it's caught the attention of their team as well. Dave Rogers, the crew chief, radioed Tony Stewart to ask him about his tires, in particular the right front. Tony said, no, that tire is fine. The problem is the car has gotten real tight. It's forced him to lift in the corners. He right now is exploring different lines through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, trying to help himself out, but right now struggling with a very tight race car. Jamie?
And that's exactly what we're hearing from Clint Boyer. He's saying tight. But his crew chief, Dan Deeringhoff, told me they planned for this hot weather. Remember, in happy hour, it was about 45 degrees on the track. It's about 105 right now. The track is changing a lot. Clint Boyer's saying he's tight. They're going to fix him up. They're thinking about lap 43. They're going to make their first stop. Doc?
About 14 or 15 laps away from that first scheduled green flag stop. And as the pit stops begin to near, we'll take a break and come back. It is Kyle Busch who led the most laps in both of the NASCAR nationwide races here a year ago. He's leading right now with Truex, Vickers, Hamlin, and Stewart in the top 5. ESPN's live coverage of NASCAR from the Daytona International Speedway continues tomorrow. Our Daytona 500 preview edition of NASCAR Now, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, and our Daytona 500 wrap-up tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Then Monday night, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, our Daytona 500 roundtable. All that upcoming on ESPN and ESPN2. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Toyota out in front with the Chevy of Martin Truex Jr. just behind. Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty looking at the early stage of the race. What are we seeing so far?
Right now, I'm watching the handling on a lot of these cars go away big time. In fact, it looks like a lot of the cars are getting real tight. Sliding the front ends are getting really spread out. Remember, folks, this is the hottest it's been down here in Daytona for these Nationwide Series cars, so they've really got to adjust to the handling conditions right now, but they're dying to get that first pit stop in, make some adjustments, Alan, and get these things back handling again.
Since the start of the race, I'm looking at guys on the move. Look at Johnny Sauter. I mean, he's up 26 positions, along with Bobby Hamilton Jr., who's up 18. David Gilliland, he's up 20 positions. So there's some cats really starting to move forward, but they are spread out in various packs, just like Rusty said.
Just a few laps away from a set of green flag pit stops, unless we see a quick yellow. The leader, Kyle Busch, radioing back and forth with his team about the condition of his car.
Whatever you can do to make this thing less draggy. Give me some more stuck up. 20 flip the switch, or is just playing possum, but you two are driving away. No, it's not driving. 20 is tight and then loose. 10-4. He's dropping pretty quickly.
20, his teammate Tony Stewart, who led much of the early going, now back in 6th place. So what might we see on this upcoming set of pit stops? Let's go to our Chevy Cutaway car. Tim Brewer, give us a little explanation.
Hey, Alan, what we did this morning on our Chevrolet Cutaway car, we took just a little bit of tape off because we knew it was going to be real hot and mess up the balance a little bit. So the first pit stop, we're going to put a little bit of tape back on here, get some of that downforce, going to lower the drag on the car, so the car's going to stick to the front end even better. Lower drag number, it's going to make the car run faster. Alan?
Fine balance there. Get the downforce with the tape. Don't overheat the car on this hot day. This is a tough call these crew chiefs have to make. And then watch for the guy coming across the front of the car on the pit stops trying to make that tape stick.
There'll be a lot of guys negotiating whether they want to put more tape on or not. If the engines are running cool, they can do that. And just like Tim said, make the front end stick and everything get better. But a lot of these guys are probably going to get a little hotter. Hey, take a look at Clint Boyer's car. His air hose on top of his helmet has come loose. And I don't know if he can get that thing back on. He's reaching for it back there because he's getting warm inside the car. I believe he's just going to have to deal with that problem right now, guys.
Yeah, it fell down behind him, and they're not going to be able to get that unless they give up a lot of track position on a caution flag pit stop. So going to be a hot day for Clint Boyer for a while, Doc. Alan, the hottest day we have had all week long, and now one of the championship contenders for the season has an issue. Now watch the top of his helmet.
You see it's attached real well right there, but it just popped off. Yeah. They didn't have it taped on there. They don't want to secure it too good because you can't get out of the car.
That's right. Yeah, you can't tape those on, but it maybe instead of over that bar, it should look like it because of the vibration and the bouncing of the car that it finally just came off of there. And Clint's reaching for that. This is the first time they've been in the car this season. It's the hottest day that we've had. You have it. You try to condition yourself for that heat, but there's nothing like being inside that race car. If it's 80 degrees outside with the air temperature, you can add at least 50 degrees inside of that. So it's a minimum of 130.
Let me check my brake pedal. I haven't needed easy yet. I wonder if I even have any.
Well, they're going to find out here in a minute as we get ready to make green flag pit stops. And that's going to be something else that's going to separate these guys a lot as we see our leaders getting ready to hit pit road right now.
You saw Kyle Busch waving out that left side window, indicating to the cars behind him he was coming on pit road. Truex and Busch, others coming down 55 miles an hour. Let's go down to Shannon's Pike.
Well, that's right. Kyle Busch pulls into his pit stall. Those guys go to work on the car. You heard him say he needs a little less drag. He said the car was great, make no changes, and then he said, you know what? Let's go down on the track bar just a little bit as Jason Ratcliffe looks on. Back over to Dave.
Two-time nationwide champ Martin Truex Jr. comes down for 4 tires and fuel. The car was mostly loose, he said, but sliding around a lot. That's been his biggest complaint during this first run this afternoon. Right sides are on, left sides are on. No chassis adjustments for him. Jason Leffler in as well. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick said he's tight. He wanted an air pressure adjustment in those rear tires only. He's telling the team what he wants. They dropped the gas can, and Kevin Harvick's down and away.
Everyone asking for different kinds of adjustments. 38 car on pit road. That's Leffler. He's coming off. 1 car, Johnny Sauter. Almost contact with the 4 car, Robert Richardson Jr.
He's sitting in Matt Kenseth's pit area. He's going to have to back up and get into his pit. Just about had a collision right here with Johnny Sauter ready to go out. This cost Johnny a little bit of time.
Now, this literally looked like we had a caution flag. Everybody coming on the pit road at the same time. You usually don't see that. You obviously, these guys don't want to lose the draft. They want to have some drafting help as they go. As we see Casey Kane. Jamie, you have something there?
That's right. Hearts are racing. DJ's the first stop of the year. Casey Kane, 4 tires. He said nobody can get through the corners as well as I can. He's happy with his car. He's down and away.
Dave? And the 5-car Junior is on pit road as well. Say the car was spun earlier, neutral, now with this race car, so they'll just put 4 tires and fill it full of fuel for Junior.
Well, here's a funny way to park in your pit stall. He's going to have to back this car up to get out. Brad Coleman is. He must have had somebody in the pit behind him. We see.
Back him up. All right, go.
Well, that's a killer right there.
All the way out, all the way out, all the way. 3,800, go.
And the other thing about it, we were talking about what adjustments these guys wanted to make on their cars. You make these green flag pit stops, you don't have much time. You've got less than 15 seconds to really make any adjustments.
We see Stanton Barrett right here. His crew's pushing him well more than 3 pits that they're allowed. So probably going to see a penalty come from NASCAR.
Hey, Dave, Carl Edwards headed to you.
Yep, and his teammate David Reagan at the same time, so they can head back out together. These guys will change 4 tires and make an air pressure adjustment for Carl. He's been mostly tight on this run and hanging back pretty much of his own accord. Vision as well as they pull his hair off his windshield as well. Reported oil on his windshield earlier.
See him holding for a second to try to top it off with that Sunoco fuel. You know, interesting, you spend millions of dollars in research to get speed in these cars, and a $4 roll of tape with an inch of tape can add more downforce and speed than anything else you've done.
There's more speed in a roll of tape than anything I can think of you can spend money on a race car.
The new NASCAR rule is you're only allowed to push a car 3 pit stalls and no more. That team pushed this team here for Stanton Bear. Watch them. They pushed this car about 7 or 8 pit stalls before it refires. That's the old rule. A year ago, that would have been fine. You just couldn't push it beyond the stop sign at the end of pit road. Now, it is a violation, and he will have to come with a pass-through now under the green flag.
It's going to take a while for these guys to get used to these new rules. It's kind of, you want to get that car going, so you're going to keep pushing it until it fires. The NASCAR got him for it.
New leader, Kirk Shelmerdine. Yes, folks, that is the same Kirk Shelmerdine that was the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Sr. for 12 seasons and 4 Cup championships. When he left there in 1992, he started driving a race car. He drives in the NASCAR ARCA Series, rather than the NASCAR Nextel Cup. It used to be now Sprint Cup, and now running the first nationwide event of the season.
A lot of these guys pitted a little bit sooner than their tanks were dry. I don't think that they were looking for fuel as much as they were tires, so it gave Kirk just an opportunity to lead a few laps.
Yeah, and that's a good story and nice for him and his sponsors there. So really good that he was able to do that, stay out there, and he's been relatively competitive throughout the race.
We've cycled through our first pit stop, and back up front, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, driving for Teresa Earnhardt. DEI showing the way at Daytona. Behind him, a couple of Toyotas, Vickers and Kyle Busch.